Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new series or brand new episode in the Filemaker series that we're doing today. Today's series is a special edition. Why? Because it's Christmas Eve and it's still morning. Ha ha ha. There you go. So, what we plan on doing today is we're going to work a little bit on our invoice solution, obviously, so that yours looks very much like mine, and that we can also can start to figure out some things that we want to make changes to so that you guys will have the same system that I do. Obviously, like I said, this system, when it is complete, will be available to you should you want to get it and then just integrate it into your system. It's pretty darn cool, some of the stuff that we have set up for us right now. So let's go to the, I have been pretty busy. I've been kind of messing around with a lot of stuff. So let's go to the entry page. Now what we've done with the entry page is we've gone ahead and we've set up our register 1, our register 2, our register 3. Now the register 3 in this particular case, and remember this is, I'm doing this based on a Wi-Fi system and not FMP host. Because FMP host there's like a ping ratio, there's a little while of time. But the cool thing is, even if you decided that you wanted to have another store, you could get the FileMaker program and literally run this off of a laptop in your secondary store, and then just email the day's sales or whatever the case might be. So you can also keep track of it there as well. Or you could go with FMP host. I did go ahead and put in a clock in, clock out system, an inventory modifier system, and that's where you would go if you wanted to add inventory. And I did change my password, so it is currently 1911. But if you go into the inventory modifier, this is what it looks like. And I currently do not have my barcode data, enter barcode data here, system set up so that I can just scan in systems. So that was my point, was that you could take your barcode scanner, which is this thing, and you could scan a product and the number would go in here, and then it would just automatically search for that and then find the product for you so that you could make adjustments to that product should you need to. But this is kind of how we set it up, and I think this is where we left off the other day when we were dealing with this. I did put in a name box so that it will not function without your name in there, without your passcode or whatever. But we did add brand name and description and the current barcode data, which basically lets us know what is the barcode that we're looking for on this particular platform or this particular solution. I also added an enter new product ID or product ID number. So if you know what the product ID number is, you can actually just search for that as well and make changes as you want to. One thing that I will tell you is that on our invoicing page, our register 1 page, but let me show you what we have. So we have scanner admin. This is for an admin section only, and we kind of did that. This is the add inventory, the administration execute, all that other neat stuff is all in here. So this way what you could do is, if you wanted to, you could literally just add your quantities to what you had, so that if you did, and I think we touched on this last time, if you had 10 of these products and you wanted to add them to your system, that you could do that with your barcode scanner. I'll turn my scanner on. It makes a loud beeping sound, which is great. I don't dislike that at all. At least it lets you know that it's on. And I've got a product here that I've already put into my database. So if I do that, it will automatically do it, and it says, oh, user not identified. So as you can tell, see, I can't get in there without actually entering my passcode here, 1911, and then we'll go to the admin section, and now we actually have access to our inventory and or our scanner. So if we go to our scanner, what it does is it takes our name, as you notice, and it puts it up here. So now if I scan this product, it'll enter it and it'll automatically put it into the system. So now I know I have these. These are, what it's doing is it's adding these to my system. So I just put 3 of them in there. We can go back to admin. What it will do is it will erase this and it'll go back to admin. So let's do a really quick, let's just look at the script that I wrote for that. So if we double click on this, we can go into, I have it go to inventory to admin, from inventory to admin. It basically says set the variable, which is the link, which is this, the code bot, which is my name. I just have it as my name. I think that works the best. And then we're going to set that box to blank so there's nothing there. I'm going to go to the admin window and we're going to set that field as link, and then we're just going to halt the script. So it's a pretty simple process to get there. It's all it does is it basically blanks this out so that if anyone else gets on this page and they didn't go through the right portals to do it, that they can't actually change your inventory or they can't change things around on you, which is kind of a good thing, especially if you are like me and you are anal about your inventory. So let's exit and we'll go back to our admin. I did add some buttons: the employee, time cards, report, security, contacts. The monitor is the sales monitor, and what it does is it monitors whatever sales that I made in the store. So right now it is pretty much set up to where it does, it only has, there's only 2 records, this record and that record, so that's all I've sold so far. So we'll go from there. That's all I've sold so far. We'll go back to admin and we find our name is still there, and we can now go into our inventory, and this is our basic inventory, like I said, and if we exit, it will take us all the way back out and has cleared our name from anything. So that if we go to our admin page, you can see there's no name here. So if I tried to do something like go into passcode, it would instantly take me into my security vault where I would have to type in my secret password and get out. It does seem a little complicated, but it's really easy to do. I also did a set end. Now what this is this is for the time clock. And so we're going to go through that really super fast before we get to the invoicing page, but we're going to do that invoicing page. So what it is, it's the popover button. So if you click on it, it'll give you this, and this is for management purposes only. And if you go to like, what is your next payday? As a manager or an administrator, when does your payday end? So it would end on, let's say, the 29th, whatever the case might be. Now, if I tried to set the date, it would tell me, no, please enter authorized passcode before continuing. So I have to actually add in my passcode. And then I can go to here. Oh, I just clocked in, didn't I? What a silly boy. 1911. Okay. So now if we go here, it'll allow us to set the date. Payroll ending date has been modified and recorded. And what we did was we added, I know you guys can barely see it, but it's right here. This is where it is. It's hidden in the page. And what it is when you do this particular script, what this is I've got this is classified as payroll date. And so I can show you, if we go to manage our database, I can show you on our menu, this is what you should have on your menu page. The date, the security box, quantity box, invoice lock, which is necessary. And then product code, error box, user name. So now there is a username linked to this. Andrad, happy holidays. How are you, Murdad? It's so good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. I sure appreciate you being here. So the username is used so that you can relate to it. If you need to go somewhere from here, you can do that. You can go back into the page and out of the page. It's a lot of scripting, but it works really super well. The things that I added were invoice lock 2 and invoice lock 3. These will keep track of your separate invoice numbers. And then the payroll date and the pay date. The pay date is actually that drop-down calendar that you saw. And as you can see here, we have the invoice lock, invoice lock 3. so that way, I know you guys just heard my things just getting ready to go off. I've stacked them all over here right next to each other, so that what we can do with these is, like, if we exit the layout, I don't have the number 2 or the number 3 set, but this will keep track of the last invoice number, so that when you're on your register 1, like I need to log into my register 1, but if you're on your register 1, what happens is your name is here, and then your invoice number is here. And if you exit, what it will do is, of course, if I try to exit now, it won't let me exit. Watch what happens. You cannot exit this portal without first closing the current invoice. So what I did was I said, hey, look, I've got an invoice. And as you notice, my code numbers are a little messed up, so I'm going to take care of that real quick. Let's go into our thing, and we'll set it up as a general instead of what it was before. Close it, and we'll exit the layout. Now it's just a code number, which is exactly what we wanted. Now, as you can see, I also put on top, it'll say code, product name, the quantity that you're selling, the price that sells for, and then the extended price. So if I wanted to, I could put in 2, and I could use my scanner. You guys heard it go on. Put in my scanner, and if I, oh, that's a bad thing. Did you see what I just did that? So now I'm going to have to erase all that. Let's just click off of it to close it. Okay, so now if I do 2, I have to click on this button. Unfortunately, I have to click on this field. That's how it works. Unfortunately, you can't just, scan that in there. So that is a minor drawback. But so now it added 2 of them. And if you notice, it went all the way to the bottom. And it added quantity 2. The regular price is $24. The extended price is $48. This tells me exactly, this is the state rate for taxes. And I'm obviously missing that, but I will add that in there. I'm going to grab this, bring it down to where it pairs in the center. Come on. I know you can pair. There you go. And then we're just going to write state tax rate with the semicolon. And therefore, if we click off of it, we can move it out. Grab all these little turkeys, including that one, because I'm going to line them all up. I'm going to line them up to that left edge. So in a position, you can line them up here, align to the right, the right edges. So I will align them all up to the right edges. So they're all the same, and click off of it. Now, if you haven't noticed, I did do some changes. I changed, this is the name of the company that I own, that I run, that I'm going to actually be using this register for. And this is my logo. So I just basically, I clicked on the logo, I replaced it, and you guys know how to do that. Just insert, you go to picture, select your picture, bring it in, size it to however you want to, and then you can just copy and paste it in all of your pieces should you want to. But the cool thing about it is, if you're going to do that, make sure that when you click on it, that you open your inspector and you go through, and your positions are all the same. So your position would be 954 and your top would be 12. It'll put it exactly in that position where this one is now. So now if you go through, and you can see, we can start all the way at the beginning. But this is what I have. These are all the layouts, and I'm just going through them. And you guys notice those first ones, those are our unused ones. Those are our unused ones. And here are the used ones that we're actually using. This one we're not going to use, by the way, just so you know, so you're aware of it. This is our, I believe this is our actual inventory list. And then this one was the one that I did before I made it better, bigger, whatever. So that layout I will have to get rid of. It's called template register. And as we go through them, you see how they've changed. Now they're all with the same, you saw the clean air vapor things was all in the same place. I did have a weird question the other day. Someone asked me, they said, Tim, I did exactly what you said, and I went to, let's just exit this layout. And they're like, and I hooked my machine up to Wi-Fi, and then I looked at it, and it was like all weird. It was like, it had like all this stuff on there that shouldn't be there. Well, that's true. You are going to have that. So if I was to share this file via Wi-Fi and then pick it up with my my tablet, it is going to look a little funny because it's in administration mode. It's in total manipulation mode. You can do anything that you want to with it. If you're going to be doing stuff on your tablet, or you want to be able to present it on your tablet so it looks exactly like this does right here, this square box, then what you need to do is go into File, and it should be Security, File Options, let's see, where is it? Manage Security. And now what you need to do is, it says, it'll very first come up, it'll say, your admin full access account does not yet have a password. This reduces, would you like to set a password? So you have to set a password for yourself. And then you have to set up a password for a guest. And on your guest, I guess we could just do this really fast. So I'm going to set my password. So mine's going to be admin. Admin. And we're just set the password. So now, as an admin, mine will say admin, that's my password. But my guest account is here. Now what we can do with the guest account is we can change it. And it says read-only access. Well, that's not what we want. We want data entry only. So now your guest account will only have it'll be able to manipulate the data, but guess what? You just fixed the field and now it looks really super cool. It will look amazing on your tablet because you've gotten rid of all of those tools that are available, because in administrator mode you get to see all of these tools at the top and all of the things, and you get to all the drop down menus and all the things so you can make changes to it. But as a guest now, you won't be able to see that because you're data entry only. So the thing that you need to do is you can change the name of the guest. Let's see if it'll let me change the name of the guest. Nope, it's not going to let me do that. Let's just add a new account. So we're going to get rid of this guest account and our new account. So, and you see how I just unchecked it? I just unchecked it. That's all I did. And now it's no longer valid. It doesn't exist. So the new account we're going to set up, and we're going to set that up as, let's do write guest on it, just because it's probably the best thing to use. Or you can say employee, or you can set up accounts for everybody if you want to. My basic is just to have two, one administrator account and one guest account, and everybody's logged onto the guest account. That's the best way to do it. And then right now it says there's no password. So we can type in a password, and the password is going to be guest. And we'll set that password for that. And it says read-only access, but we really need it data entry. And now we're okay. So now if you go into there, or you say okay, it's going to say, wait just a minute. I got to make sure that this is correct. So I type in my full access account, which is admin. My password is admin. And I say okay. And now what it'll do is it'll make positive that the person viewing on your tablet, they can do anything that you allow them to do. So in this, they don't have access to this drop down. They can't get a hold of this and go through all those different things. And I'm still drinking my first cup of coffee this morning, just FYI. They can't create a new record unless you have a new record button. Let me show you the clock in thingy really super fast while we're just sitting here. So let's go through tools and the script debugger, because this is obviously the best way to do it. This, I love this. I love this. It's a really long script. So if you guys need to pause it, pause it. Let me put the script debugger, let me put it right here. I think this would probably work the best, where you guys can see it like really well. And I'm going to F6 through the steps, just so you know. So I'm going to be F6ing through the steps. So what we're going to do first is we're going to add, I'm going to add my passcode in there. And then I'm going to do clock in, clock out. And it does either or. It does both. Clock in, clock out. So if we clock in, it's going to say, okay, perform time cards login. That's what it is. And perform script. So if we push the F6, we now get the script, and we get to see what that script looks like. If it's empty, menu security box. So if this security box is empty, it's going to show a custom dialog, and that custom dialog is going to be, no, you don't. Please enter your passcode and try again. That's what it's going to say. So as you see, it jumped right across the if because the dialog box does have something in it. It's going to then set a variable, and that date is going to be that payroll date down at the bottom here. It's also going to set another variable, and it's going to set this security box as a variable. Now it's going to clear that box. So set field, menu, security box, quotation marks. Set field, menu, security box, quotation marks. We're going to freeze the window. We're going to go to the layout. Now remember, because we're doing the script debugger, it's actually going to go to that field, right? It's going to go over there. So ta-da, now we're in a whole different place. It's going to enter find mode, and what it's doing is it's looking for me. Am I on the user data portal list? Am I there? And it's going to set my field in this box right here, and then it's going to perform the find. It's going to, so enter find mode, set field, user database, passwords, pass, and then set error capture on. It's now going to perform the find. And ta-da, there I am. There's me, all in my glory, right there. And let's move this down a little bit so you guys can read. Like I said, it is an epic script. It's a long script, but it's because it not only clocks you in, it also clocks you out. So you don't have two separate buttons, just one button will take care of everything. So F6 again, it's going to say if my code box, or it's going to say, it actually says if is empty, user database passwords, which is my code. If it is empty, it's going to show a custom dialog that I am invalid, and it's going to go back, it's going to take me back to the original script. And I don't want to skip over the ifs, even though the F6 is doing that. So if it is empty, show a custom dialog, and the dialog is going to be, you are not authorized to use the system. Then it's going to go back to the original layout, and it's going to halt the script. End of story. Now, at this point, if it goes back to the original layout, I think you could have it where it would put a strike in that error box. You guys remember the error box? It would put a strike in there. That would be a good idea. But I didn't add it to this script, FYI. So we ended the if, and now it's going to say if is empty, user database current number. The current number is this, and this is a change that I made, and I wish I would have gotten to it before I did this, but I added the current record number and the last record number. And I will show you guys how to do that. So just write the script exactly as you see it. And then as soon as I'm done, I'll take you to the user data file, and we'll add those those fields in there to the table. Okay, so if the user data current underscore number is empty, then we need to go to layout time records. So it'll say, go to layout time records each, time records new record request. So then what it's actually saying is it'll create a new record for me, if there's not one that I'm already working on. This is really interesting because what it did is how this works is it took my, I have a file that is mine. It's, for me, for my time. Now, when it gets to that ending date, that payroll ending date, it stops the file and it starts a new file. So in this employee user data file, I can go to either my last paid period. Let's say I get paid every 2 weeks. So like 2 weeks ago, I could look at my record, or this record, I could look at this record. Either or. So what it's going to do is it says go to layout, time records each, time records, new record request, set variable, valuable. The value is time records underscore number. And then it'll go to the layout user info, which is this one. So it'll come back to the layout user info, user database. And then it will set the field user database current number, this number, as that new, the variable that I set, which was new. So what it'll do is it'll go to my time record, it'll start a brand new one, it'll grab the new number, bring it back, and install it. Pretty cool, huh? That's if that box is empty. But it's not. So we're going to jump right over it. And then now it's going to say if it's going to set user database notes get current date. So this is our notes box, and it says time in, but that's really not what it is. This is our notes box. So it's going to get the current date, and it's going to set it there for me. Today is the 24th, and it's going to say if, what am I doing? I'm pressing delete, wrong button. Okay, so it's going to set that field. Then it's going to say if the user database notes field, which is this, is greater than that date that we set up. Remember the date on the calendar? If this date is greater than the payroll date, then it's going to make some changes. So it's going to set this variable change, and the variable is going to be this current record. Then it's going to set the field, this last record, which would be, so it's basically just keeping track of 2 records in a row. Now you could have 3 or 4 or 5 of them if you want to. 2 of them is just fine for me. And obviously there will be a search engine that I put in where you can actually search for a specific number should you need to, because I think that you would put these current record numbers on the payroll stub. So it would be, my payroll stub would be 8,000,003, 8,000,005, 8,000,012, 8,000,000 whatever. Not how much I got paid, but that would be the number under what I was being paid under. So it's going to set that variable, set variable change. It's going to go, the value is the current number. Then it's going to set that current number to my last record. Let's just go through. I think it's going to skip it. It should skip it. It does. Okay, then it's going to go to the layout time records each. And it's going to ask for a new record. It's going to set that new record number. It's going to grab it. It's going to come back here. It's going to set that in the current record number. So it'll go to the layout user info user database and then set that field user database current number is new. So we've already done that. And like I said, this is an epic script, guys. It's an epic script. It's very long. Now we're going to set a variable. And that variable is going to be that current record number. So this is the record I'm currently working under. Then it's going to set my pay rate. So here is a wage box. Now if I put in 10, 12, 15, or $3, whatever my pay rate is as administrator, so if you were an employee instead of me, I would put you down, you know, 750, 850, 1050, whatever it is. Your wages would go right here. So it's going to capture that here, and it's going to take it to your new record. That's why it's doing it. It's going to set a variable, the user, so your username, your first name. Then it's going to set a field, and it's the present is going to say present. And ta-da, see, now it says, I am here because I'm logging in. I'm logging in for the day. Now it's going to go to our layout, time records each. And here it is. As you guys can see, I'm going to kind of move this up above me. Here's my record. And it's going to enter the find mode. And it's going to go to the field of the records number, which is down here on the bottom. I knew it was down there somewhere. I didn't see it because I have it like out. It's going to set that field as record current number. So 8,003 or 8,000,003. Then it's going to perform the find. And ta-da, this is my current record. And so now it's going to say this payroll ending date is a little bit off. It's because when I was writing the script, I forgot to change that, but we'll fix that. So if is empty, first name, which it's not. What it's basically saying is if these fields are empty, go ahead and populate them with your numbers. Now you don't have to have your payroll number in here, but or your security number in here, your passcode. So if you don't want it, don't put it in there. But I like to have it in here just because when I'm scanning through the records, I'll know. You know, it's like, okay, that number, this was their number, blah, 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 blah. And then, now it's going to go to the portal row. This is where it kind of gets a little weird because this is the hardest part of the whole thing. So it's going to go to the portal row. It's going to go to the first portal row, select first. And then if it's not empty, so if the time card's elapsed time, which is right here, your daily total, if your elapsed time is not empty, then it's going to go to portal row last. Ta-da, over here. And then it's going to do, if time card start isn't there, it's going to start setting the field. So if is empty, time card start, it's going to start it. It's going to set the date, time card's date, get current date, set field, time cards, start date or time start, get current time. So it's going to then put the current time in here. It's going to go back to my original layout. Now remember, it's doing these by the dates. And we'll halt the script. Ta-da, empty. So let's go into real quick and manage our database. And in our database, in our tables, we have the user database. I said I was going to look at this really fast, so we're going to do that. I'm pretty sure you guys have the same one. But there is some differences in here. So we've got passwords, first name, last name, active, destination, notes, data link, which is an auto serial enter number. The access code, which is a text. The present, which is a text. Hourly wage, which is a number. Last record, which is a number. And current number, which is a number. So that's what we have in our user database. Vanas, how are you? Very Merry Christmas to you as well. I'm kind of paying attention to the chat, but it's like way over here. FYI, way over here. So I'm kind of paying attention, but I'm more so just trying to get some information out. But very Merry Christmas to you, Vanas. Thank you very much for being here. Now, we did add, I think that's where you guys ended a couple of days ago, was on user database. We also have the inventory incoming, which is your barcode, enter barcode, which is a text, date, which is a date, quantity underscore in, which is a number, and code bot, which is a text. Inventory sales, I don't have anything in it yet. Records change. Now, The records change is a portal I haven't designed yet, but I'm getting to it. And what it does is it keeps track of all the changes made to the current record. So it'll have a timestamp, product ID, product name, original quantity. As you see, all of these are either timestamp, number, or text. So just make yours the same. Timestamp, product ID, product name, which is a text, original quantity, which is a number, original price, which is a number. So if they change either the quantity or the price of something, it will be on this, in this file, or in this, on this page. The new price, what did they change it to? Or the new quantity, what did they change that to? A special note in case I needed to add a note, like if the number, if they've changed it by more than 5, I want to know, right? So if they change it by more than 5, then I'm going to be like, I'm going to put an alert there, special alert. The date and the current time. Other tables that we did was the time cards one. This one is pretty important, and now you guys, this whole thing will kind of come into focus for you. So we have the time start, the time stop, an elapsed time. This is where it gets a little interesting, because the elapsed time is a calculation. And the calculation is pretty much this. You just type in case, capital C-A-S-C, and then we're going to put in this, you can put in these brackets, and then just press enter, 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 or press enter a couple of times, whatever. And then for my second line, when I got to my second line, I just put in not, and then I put in the brackets here. And then, because when you put in brackets, let me show you what happens. So if I enter and I come down to this one, when you put in brackets, it leaves you a center like this. So I just went and I just put in time stop. Just like that. And then I went to the outside of it and I put in the semicolon, or not, or the one with the little apostrophe on the bottom of it. Because that means something. And what it's saying is, if time stop isn't, if there's nothing in time stop, then it is blank. If it's not, and then time start, it's blank, and then time underscore stop minus the time start. So what it's saying is that, let me see if I can explain it to you so you understand. This is a difficult, this part is a difficult code, and I just want you guys to be able to understand it. So what it's saying is, if time stop, if there's nothing in time stop, so not time stop, then that button, that window, that field is going to just be blank. It's going to, and that's what the parentheses are for. It's just going to show blank. And if there's no time start, so if there's nothing in time start, you also want it to show blank. You don't want it to populate the elapsed time field until all of the information is there. So that's what this function does. That's what it's doing. It's saying, if you don't have anything in time start, I'm not going to show you elapsed time. If you don't have anything in time end, I'm not going to show you what's in it. So they both have to be populated before I will show you how much elapsed time there is. Ta-da! See, that's pretty simple. Now, I do need to get rid of this file part that I just put in there, so we will just go backspace and backspace, because we want to make sure that our cursor ends right there. Okay, I hope you guys got that. If you didn't, stop, pause, and just recreate it. But that's how you do it, is you just do the not, and then the parentheses, and then you would just push the time stop. And then you have to physically put in the one with the little comma on it. And then you don't have to have a space or anything. You do your parentheses, You click outside of the parentheses, because when you do a parentheses, it's going to put the cursor right in the middle of them. So you click outside, and then you put another little, it's like, I can't remember the name of it, semicolon. Semicolon, is that what it is? The semicolon. Okay. With the dot and the little dill in the end. And then go to the next line, and then all you're going to do is not the exact same thing as what you just saw, and then the parentheses, and go on from there. So we'll say that is okay, because it is okay. Now the IDFK is a link. So if you go to the relationships, you'll see that I have got time cards and time records linked with an IDFK, which is an ID foreign key, and an ID. So let's go back to our fields. And then I now have the record ID, which is an auto enter serial number. And you just go into your serial number, and you can start it at any value that you want. If you want it to be 1, you want it to be 25, you want it to be 16, whatever you want. This is what it's doing is it's doing like on the time card, it'll have a value, and that's the record number. 16, 17, 18, because they have to be delineated away from, so that you have to have some delineation in that particular sense. Just start at 1. That's what I would recommend. Then the date, which would be, it's basically a creation date. Then S underscore total time. That's our summary of our total of time elapsed. So you have the time elapsed, that's the code we just went through, that time elapsed, and then on the very bottom, you'll have that it'll be a total time. So it'll say, you've got 40 hours in this week, or whatever, right? Payroll ending date, gross pay, and hourly pay. Pretty simple. Gross pay is a calculation of the hourly pay times your total time. Pretty simple. And then on the next field are time records. It doesn't have near as many, but it does have an ID. And this ID is what links it to the IDFK. And so one of them has to have an auto enter serial number. And so this is the one that has the auto enter serial number. And you just start it at 1. Doesn't matter, just serial number. Then we have a username, and the username is really cool because it's a calculation, right? It's a calculation. And what the calculation is its first name, and then this and sign. So if you type in, if you click on, let me do this. Let me push enter. So we'd go first name, and then you would do the parentheses, or the quotation marks, excuse me. Press the space bar to give you a space. Click on the outside of it. Do another and. Last name. Then double click on last name, and there it is. This I need to get rid of. But that's how you do it. That's how you put a first name and a last name together. Because if you do it any other way, your first name and your last name will be the same name. So it'll be Timmy. Instead of Tim Hayde, it'll be one word. So this will give you 2 words. Your first name and your last name. And a space. That's what it says. First name and a space and your last name. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Your code bot is just a basic text. All we're doing is using the code bot so that it says index, whatever. The code bot is basically used so that we can achieve some sense of security, right? First name, last name, user ID, records number. Now this is the record number. So what I did was I just put 8 million in there. 8 million. So that I would know I was never going to use 8 million. But I wanted to have the same number of things, right? So I used 8 million. So these are your payroll stub numbers. And currently we're on 8005 because I've been messing around with it quite a bit, so FYI. And then the current date, current underscore date, which is a date. And that reaches the end of where we are. So if you don't have any of these, let me know and I will walk you through them in depth. Now, once you get your time cards and your time records, go to your relationships, find them just as I did, color them the same color, double click on the equal sign. It will tell you what they are. Allow creation of records and allow creation of records. Pretty simple, standard, easy stuff. So you have to allow them to share records between the two of them. So now if we go to, let's go look at that page. And it's called Time Records Each. And what I did for this page is, let me close my inspector. Edit the layout. So as you can see, we have 5 records. These are just Tim messing around. Okay? So what you do is, in this record, I have an exit, an execute, and an invoice button. But I'm going to change those because this time card thing doesn't really need these 3 buttons. They just happen to be on, when I copied, I went into, what I did was, you go into edit, layouts, manage your layouts, and I just grabbed one, and I think it was template register, and I just copied it or brought it over here, or maybe it was template menu. I think it was template menu. So, and you guys know how to do that. You just click on it, duplicate, and then rename it. And that's how you do it. That's how I created this time records each. And I suggest you do the exact same thing. Make yours time records each. You clean out everything. You do create a portal row or a portal just exactly the same way that you did. Now this record, this is on the time records. So if you were to go into this, this enclosed file, if we look at the data, this is under time records or time cards. This is your time elapsed. And these buttons right here are all on your CodeBot is time records. And as you can see on the bottom, this is my total hours right here. Now this is an old one that I was just messing around with while I was writing the script. So it doesn't really have anything there. But if we go to here, where you can actually see that there was an ending in the same day, a beginning and an ending in the same day, it does keep track of it. So 32 minutes and 9 seconds was the total. And because I have no hourly wage, it generates no gross pay. Payroll ending date will go down here. Here is where I put if you add at the box, this is where the records number is, way down here in the corner. And then I just went date. So here we have, let's go through these really quick. So this is your record ID from time cards. This is a date, time cards date. Time cards start, time start. Time cards time stop. And your elapsed time. So when you create a portal, it's going to instantaneously bring up the field picker and it's going to say, what do you want to put in there? You're going to have to go to your time cards because it's a related field, and you can put in your time start, your time stop, your elapsed time, your record ID, and the date all into this. And then you can put your summary of your total time underneath of it. It doesn't have to be inside this box, inside the portal. It can be underneath of it. That works just fine. Then the gross pay and the hourly pay, I went ahead and put over here on this side. And your time cards, time records, ID, username, all that neat stuff. There it is. So if you guys have any questions on the individual time cards, let me know. I am going to make a slight change to it so that it will make sure that it changes this payroll ending date. FYI, because if you notice, it didn't do that on the last one. But if we go back to our admin entry page, let's go back to our entry page. And we type in our number. And we go into tools, we grab our script debugger. We're just going to leave it over my head. And we clock in, clock out. Let's go through this really fast. So as we're just going to click through, you guys can watch and see what's happening. It's going to go, it's looking for me. As it's going through all of these, get current date. And then if, and as you know, it doesn't do a lot of these ifs. It's going to set that number for this current record. Grab my name, go into here and into the find mode. It's going to go to the field record number. It's going to change that field, set error capture on, perform the find. Here we are. And now it's going to say, see how it reorganized all of these records? Because I have them sorted. And I will show you how to do that too. As soon as we get done with this, I'll show you how to do the sorting too. But it's an automated thing. So F6, if is empty, time records, first name. All of my username is already in there, so we're fine. It's going to go to the first portal row. And then if not is empty, time card elapsed time. Remember? Now this is how the system works. It says if there's nothing in the elapsed time. Now we've told it through that code that we did earlier. We've told the system don't fill in the time elapsed unless you have both the time start and the time end. So we know that it's going to be empty if our sorting is correct. That's the reason why the script was so weird to write, but it was a lot of fun and it was a great challenge. So now what it's going to do is it says if it is not empty, which it is not empty, it's going to go down to the next script and it's going to say, so instead of going to the last portal row, it's going to stay on that second or that top portal row. It's going to say if is empty, time cards time start. But that's not the case, is it? We're going to stay on there. We're going to go through because we said if you've already clocked in, we don't want to clock you in again. So now we're switching it to clock you out. So now we're going to go into if on the F6, if not is empty, time cards time start. Then we're going to set the time stop to right now, to this second. Get current time. Now, how you get that, I will have to show you guys how to get that because that's a tough one. You can't just type in get. Then it's going to commit. It's going to put it in there. Did you just notice that? It just put the data in there. So 12/22/14 that's exactly what time it is, my time. And now it says I've just worked 20 minutes. And then it's going to go back to my user layout, user info, database, enter the find mode, set me up, enter find. Then it's going to set this present. It's going to clock me out. So you see where it says present? It means here I am. I'm here at work. So whatever word you like to use, I don't care. But I use present. Like instead of saying here, present. So it's going to remove that. So it's going to set it now that it's not there. So now you know exactly who's in on the clock whenever they're on the clock. It's going to go back to the original layout and end the if and halt the script. So let me show you really quick on managing the scripts. So this is register one dismiss. Let's just go into, if I wanted to write, and I'm just gonna create a new script. Let me close some of these down. There's scripts I wrote, like, took me forever. Okay, so I'm just going to write a new script, and we're just going to call it base scripting. And we can control S it if we want to. But so now what we're looking for is, oh no, my FileMaker has stopped working. All right, well, no big deal. We'll get right back into it. It does happen. It does happen. So now it's going to say, hey, we need to know who you are and why you're trying to get in this system. So now it's going to let me back into the system, and everything is going to be good, and it's going to take me to my last record, which is this one. And I'm going to show you guys how to set it up on one of my near videos, how to set it up where it always ends up in the end. It's always going to end up at the entry page. So whenever you come in, it will always be on the entry page. So here we're going to edit the layout, we're going to manage, and we're going to go do our scripts. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that script I was just telling you about. It's kind of a bummer when it shuts off, right? Let's see if we have it. So base script, there it is. So if you type in get, it'll say get directory. Or if you do this, it'll be like blah, 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 blah. You're like, well, how do I get the current time? Delete that. So you come over here and you type in get. It says get directory. Type in small get directory. Type in G, go to layout, go to field, get directory. It has all of these weird things there, right? And you guys are probably like, what? Well, how do I get it? How do I get that? Get current date, get current time, get current stuff. Well, I'm going to show you that really quick. So if there's nothing in the search field, you have to go all the way down to miscellaneous. And no, it's not in miscellaneous, is it? It's in control. Nope. Where in the heck is it? Editing. Nope. Fields. Records. It is actually in... Why am I not finding it in this function? Show compatibility, active scripts by platform. I don't know why it's not showing it to me in this. I'll just say revert all. Okay. But if I go into this and I specify a script, or I look at a script, cancel. I look at a script, did I miss it somewhere? Control. Wow. I wonder what happened, because I normally have, you normally get in here and it will say get, you'll find it in the side window and you have to scroll like all the way down. Oh, it's under the functions. That's why it's under the function set. It's not in an actual scripting thing. So you actually have to tell it to That's what it is. I'm sorry. So let's do that. My brain cell is like fried this morning. It is Christmas Eve. We'll go back into our scripts. I am so sorry. So if we are here, we have to first set a field. We have to first tell it what we want it to do. That's why it's not available. So we have to say set a field, and then specify a field, any field. That date field is fine for register. Calculate a result. Now it's in the function set. So this is where it actually is. If you type in get though, you're going to get a whole bunch of gets, but you're not going to get the get that you want. And even if you type in get with a space, you're not going to find it. It's not going to be there. So what you have to do is you have to go make sure that your field is completely empty, your search field, and you literally have to scroll all the way down. And then now is when you actually start to get those. So it'll be get, and then you can see current extended privileges, get current time, get current time stamp, get current date. Those are the ones that you're going to need to use for those things. And what it does is it basically checks the time and the date of the system of whatever it is, your phone or your computer or your tablet, whatever you're using, is it grabs that information, brings it in, and puts it onto your field. So that's how it works. So we'll just type in get current date, and now it'll say set field register date, get current date. Ta-da! So if we just Control S that, I'm going to change that. I'm going to use that. I called it a base script so that the very next time I need a script, I can just select it and then change the name of it and make it to whatever I want to. So, and obviously, as you guys can see, I've written a huge number of scripts. And the best thing to do with a lot of these, when you get the opportunity, is to move them inside of a file folder. Like your exit button would be in the go-to scripts. Exit from monitor would be in a go-to scripts. Data exit would be a go-to scripts. And you just notice what I'm doing. So if I write, I'm just bringing them up until that turns purple. And then what it's doing is, if you're noticing, is it's actually creating this little separation. So now when I close this, all of those just disappeared. And also notice I've been unchecking them as I need to. So this one is an add exit. I'm just going to grab it, put it in go to scripts. Go to scanner, I'm going to unclick it because it says go to scanner inventory. So my go to scripts, I am taking them all and putting them in my go to folder. Now I think I showed you guys how to do another folder, right? So if you wanted to, you would simply come in, you could click anywhere you wanted to basically. Close our go-tos. Makes it look a lot better, but you just click this little icon right here where it says, I'm gonna get rid of that thingy up there. So where it says add folder, create a new folder. So I'm gonna create a new folder, and we're gonna call this I don't know, security or secure bot. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to name it. And then all you gotta do is like click off of it. So now I can grab like ones that say admin on them, admin access, and put them in there. And the cool thing is that they are they're in this, so that when we do look at these, like this one, add past data, that one would need to go in my secure bot. Inventory find, scanner input, add new admin. Put them all in our security box. And when you uncheck these, the cool thing is unchecking them means that other people can't get into them. which is what we want. We want to make sure that other people can't get into them. I don't know why you keep doing that. I'm gonna have to click on the screen. But I am working on, I'm gonna clean this all up for you guys so that the next time we're on, you guys will be able to see that. I am working on this hold button. And so what this hold button does is it will create an envelope so that you will have, let me click off of it. What it will do is, I don't know why it's not showing me all the records. It's got to be on this one. One of these actually got it to work. One. File 2, it's not in there. File 3, it's not in there. File 4, it's not in there. Okay. Well, anyway, apparently I have 4 files and it's not in any of them. But what it does is, obviously your username goes here. So if you are, be sure to log out of the system. That's so cool. I added that. Be sure to log out of the system, Tim. Okay, no problem. We'll go into register 1 and now it has our name. And as you notice, it automatically put me on scanner data and I'm already on 6 zeros and a 3. So it'll automatically put this in here, and none of the rest of these fields, I've gotten rid of all the rest of these fields. So now if you go into your scanner, now I haven't, let's go through the I want to do this, but it's kind of hard to explain it like right off the top of my head. So what I did was I put hold 1, hold 2, hold 3, and hold 4. And the hold 3 and the hold 4 are dates. And the hold 1 and the hold 2 are actual, they're the fields. Those are fields. Those are actually going to be used for populating an invoice number. So it'll put an invoice number into that box. And then it's going to grab that and it's going to carry it. So if, let's say you have 3 or 4 people and you're like, now I haven't finished it yet, so it's still kind of in the iffy stage of getting it to work. But what it will do is, we're in edit layout mode, so I can actually double tap that and we can look at this deal. And what it's saying is, that it's going to set a variable, the invoice number, and then it's going to close the popover. It's going to create a new record. So instead of being 8,000,003, it's now 8,000,004. It's going to still take this number, and then it's going to put that number in hold 1. But if hold 1 is, that's only if it's empty. If it's not empty, it's going to put it in hold 2. And if both of them are not empty, if both of them are full, it will show custom dialog, unable to perform the task. So, please don't do that anymore. But what it does is it basically says, here's the fields, set the field, hold 1 is the invoice number, set the field, hold 3 as the get current timestamp. Get current timestamp. And then it's going to set the field, username, name, and then it's going to go to the field. So because remember here, we've already created a new record request. So instead of being on 8,000,003, we're now on invoice 8,000,004. And our problem is that, okay, so this actually does do it. So it actually brings it to that, because this actually looks correct. This, I might have fixed it last night. Let's see what happens. So if we exit the layout, here we are, we're on 1003. We'll go to the scanner data, turn our scanner on. Let's charge us a couple of these. I apologize, but this is like the only thing that I currently have. All the other things I end up throwing away. My tea that I had, remember the tea that I had doing this with? So this is a video game, and I'm obviously not going to throw that away, right? So it's here. Tech, how's it going? It's so good to see you. Merry Christmas to you. So we've charged 2 of them, and now, oh no, a new customer has come in and they want help immediately. So what we'll do is we'll go to the hold button and we will hold. And now if we go to the hold button, you see in our new record, we're now in 1004. You'll now see that it has populated the time, and it has populated this field with a record number, which is 1,000,003. Now if I click on that, it will instantaneously take me back to the 1,000,003 record, where I can close that record out. So I can go to, if I click on it, it'll instantly take me back to that record. Now I can close the record out should I want to, or I can add to it if I want to. It's the same as what it was before, except for now it's taken me back. And if I press hold, notice there's nothing here. There's nothing in this field. So from here, I'm not allowed to hold, because what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to show you guys, press this button a couple of times, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do well, never mind. What I was going to do was I was going to say because it populates this record right here, which is the invoice lock. It populates it. And so the button should say you can't hold a hold. So if you go back to it, I don't want you to hold it again, because if you hold it again, you're going to recreate the same. You're just going to create an endless number of the exact same record that you're just going to get it confused. So I want to make sure that we don't hold already held invoices. So I will fix that issue. I guarantee it. I guarantee you I will fix it, and we'll put that into focus as we get farther into it. But one of the deals I was actually having was in my cash and credit and those particular scripts. So let's go through those. Let's go through our cash sales script. And as you can tell, it is literally an epic script. So I'm going to open it way out here so you guys can kind of see what it is. But it says if it is empty, so if the grand total is empty, if there's nothing in, if you haven't even created an invoice yet, my thing is still on. I love this thing. I cannot say enough about how much I love it. It's so simple. It's cheap. It's easy. If you guys haven't watched my last video, do watch my last video, because we really talk about the scanner on the last video. I'll show you where to get it. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. It's going to really revolutionize my store, and I'm very excited about that. I also ordered, in case you guys didn't know, you can order asset tags. So if you do have product that doesn't have a SKU, you can put that asset tag on your shelf tag, and when you're selling product to somebody, like if everything is behind the counter and they're on the other side of the counter, you can just go by and scan and sell it to them that way. It's easy peasy. I did not know that they made asset tags. I've ordered a roll of 500 of them off of Amazon for about $70. So that's really going to come in handy for my business for sure. So what it's basically going to do is say, look, if you haven't charged anything, our grand total is still empty, then we're just going to halt the script. We're going to say, hey, sorry, you can't do that, right? But if is empty, register lock or invoice lock. Now that's where I wanted to, I kind of got to working on that a little bit. We want to set a variable, and that variable is lock, and the value is 0. Now, don't write this script exactly as I am. Let me explain it to you. I'm having some issues. I will work them out. so there will be some minor changes to it. And if. But if the invoice lock is, which is this little field right here, if the invoice lock is not empty, then it's going to set that variable lock as that number, and then it's going to clear it out. So set the field parentheses or quotation marks. And if. Now we're going to set all of these variables. So the variables that we're going to set, and that's where I'm having my issue, is I don't want to have a redundancy in my script. But what it's saying is we want to set variable 1, 2, 3, 4. And those variables are those hold. Remember the hold button, so you can hold things? So it's going to set those, and then it's going to set those variables. But if there's nothing in there, then it's going to set nothing. But I thought if you put an if script, an if in there, like if it is empty, well, what if you cleared out the first one, but you didn't clear out the second one? So that's where I was kind of having some problems with the if thingy in there. But we're going to set all those variables. And then we're going to set a bunch of other variables: invoice number, cash, why is this duplicated? This variable is invoice value register invoice number. So that one is invoice number. This one is invoice number. Well, you can't have two of them, so this is redundant. So I need to delete that one. I don't know why there was two of them. You can't have them named the same. So you can't have one variable named invoice and then another variable named invoice, because and they're two separate items, because it'll erase the first one and it'll keep the second one. So I don't know why I had two of them. I was working really late on this, so that's why we're where we are. Then it's going to freeze the window, go to layout, register, monitor. This is where it logs the sale. This is where it's literally logging the sale. So in your register monitor, I'm not sure if we went through that, but I will show you guys how to do that on future episodes. And that's going to go new record request. And what it's doing is it's keeping track of the invoice number and the current time. So the second you close that sale, the second you push that cash button, it goes here and it says, this is exactly what time you just had this sale. So if someone comes in and says, I was here at 7:47, you'd be like, yeah, you were here at 7:43, whatever. I mean, you have the exact time that person bought a product or products. So we're going to set the invoice number. We're going to set the time. We're going to set our cash sales, because we've got it delineated as cash sales or credit sales. So we're going to enter into the cash item, because this is the cash button. We're going to monitor the tax collected. Monitor the fields, location, commit records request, go to the original layout, which happens to be this layout. And then if our value, if our invoice lock value is 0. Now remember, you can't have an if is empty. You have to have a value in this particular case. So because you can't have like if it's empty lock button, it doesn't work for me. So it has to be because the new one is obviously empty, and you're trying to say from before. You can't say, was it empty when I left? So you actually have to set a value in there, and that's the reason why we set the value as 0. 0. So if it was empty, we set it at 0. And if it was not empty, we went ahead and set it as that invoice number. That's what we did at the top. And so now here at the bottom, we're saying, look, if that value is 0, if it's 0 or less than 0, whatever, but you can just say if it is equal to 0, that's fine. Then we're going to create a new record, and we're going to set the field. Now, the reason why I'm making this change is because if you went into a held record and you wanted to sell that product, you wanted to close that invoice out, I want you to be able to press the cash button and close it out like that. And so, and not create an additional record that's hidden somewhere out in the world. We want to keep track of all of our records, right? So we want to make sure that they're all in line with each other. So you've got record 1 million, 1 million 1, 1 million 2, 1 million 3, 1 million 4, and so on and so on. You know, so we keep track of those records. We're not just blatantly creating, because if you did that, you just created records like out of thin air. Pretty soon you'd have 10 million records and be like, well, where did I come up with all these records? I only sold 1,000 products. Well, because you're not keeping track of them. You have to keep them all in sync with each other. So in this particular case, I said if it is 0, then we'll do a new record request. So what I'm saying is on my new record, the new one that I sold, there shouldn't be, or that my new, there shouldn't be any numbers on the invoice lock. So my thing is going to be 0. So now that it went through and it did all the stuff it's supposed to, it's going to come back. It's going to set my fields, because remember, it grabbed those fields from the last sale. So it's going to set my fields, hold 1, hold 2, hold 3, hold 4. It's going to set my username in, and it's going to go to the scanner data, and then it's going to halt the script. But if, and then end if. But so if it is 0, if your invoice lock is 0, then it will go ahead and complete that, and then it will halt the script. But if it's not 0, if you actually have that number, and notice you don't have to put an if after it. But if it's not, then it's going to enter find mode. It's going to set field register invoice number to that lock number, perform the find, and then go to the scanner data and then halt the script. Now, something that we did forget here was that we may have set the variables on these particular records, but we didn't clear them. And we need to be sure that we've cleared those records and we're just bringing them with us. We're just bringing them with us. So what you should do is, after setting the variables 1, 2, 3, and 4, you should be setting fields. And you can just click it. I double clicked it 4 times. You can set the field as the target field as hold 1. And it will be quotation marks. You can set the field 2 as 2. Specify quotation marks. 3. Specify 3. And quotation marks. And the same with this one. This one will be 4, and we'll specify quotation marks. So what that does is it says, okay, we just set all these variables, and now we're going to clear those out. So if they exist, we'll go ahead and do it, and then we'll do it. So let's run through this really quick. If we come down here, we just Control S, and we press OK, because that's kind of a big deal. And we exit the layout. We can see here that this is a recalled number, right? This is 1003. And what it did was it put the current number in here, 1004, when we went backwards, right? So if we do our tools and we do our script debugger, and I'm going to kind of try to keep this out of the way so you guys can see it, because it's kind of a big deal. and we put in, we're ready to close it. Now, we do want to make sure that we will not open the hold. We will not allow them to open anything in the hold if this is full. So don't forget to add that to your script on your hold button when you do push the hold. And we'll do that before I leave today. I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to push the cash button and cash sale register, and we're going to kind of go through what it does really fast. So it's first going to say if it's an empty grand total. Well, that's not the case. Move my mouse out of the way. So now it's going to go into if it's empty register lock. Well, it's not. So if it's not empty, it's going to grab that number and it's going to set it to 0. Now it's going to clear it, and see how it just disappeared? And it was right here. It was there, not anymore. Now it's gone. So now we're going to set the variables, which are all of the variables that are in your hold buttons. We're going to set them all, and we're going to clear them all. And now we're going to set the variables as my name, the username is going to be in there, the invoice number is going to be in there, the cash, which is the grand total, is going to be in there, the total amount of tax, $2.40. You guys can read it. It's right there, $2.40. We're going to freeze the window, which it's not going to do because it's going to take us there. It's going to take us to our register monitor page. Yay, we finally get there. You guys have seen this actually. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start setting up things. So new record request instantaneously. We're going to set the field monitor invoice number. So it's 1003 or 1,000,003. We're going to set the current time. We're going to set cash as cash. Notice it says cash sales over there, so it set it. It's going to say the tax collected, $2.40, so it's going to add that to there. And then it's going to field, what it's going to do, I'll explain this in future videos. I would like to explain it right now, but it is a bit complicated. It's going to set, in here there are these secret buttons that you can't see, or these secret places, these secret things you can't see. It's going to set this field, the field register, the location, the monitor location field. Monitor is a table, location is the field. It's going to set that to register 1x. Register 1x. F6. Now it will set my field ID to 1. To 1. Now, let me I have to, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but I have to explain what this is. Register 1x is going to be a copy, a duplicate copy of register 1. It's just literally going to be a copy, and all I do is take away the word copy and put an X there. And the field ID is selected as number 1. The reason why I did that was because if you notice, these are blue. And see how it turns to hand over cursor? These are actual buttons. So if I want to visually go see, as an administrator, as a manager, I want to see this invoice, but I don't want to mess with the person selling the product out there, I have to have mirror images of my invoice. So I've got invoice 1, or register 1, and register 1x, and they're mirror images, they're identical. If you make any changes on this one, it will appear on this one at the exact same time. So, but instead of messing with this one, because all I want to do is just see it, I just want to see it, I'm going to create a copy of it. And so what I'm going to, and I've monitor location so that when I press on that button, I have the data that's necessary so that I can go to that 1x and I can look at that invoice without disturbing the sales register or the sales person that is selling the product. I hope that made sense. I hope you guys, I didn't lose you. I hope I didn't lose anybody. Commit records request. So go to the original layout. Here it is. And if the lock is 0, We know it's not, right? We know it's not. What it's going to do is it's going to go to that end if. It's going to skip by all of that stuff, and it's going to enter find mode. It's going to set the field register invoice number to the lock. Perform the find. Then it's going to go to that field, the scanner data, and halt the script. So what we just did, what we just witnessed in this epic thing was we cached, we closed it out, we started a new one, and if we brought the hold button in, which I'm going to quickly go through that, if there was any information that was being held, it should have carried over to here. Carried over to here. So if we had any held invoices, they'd be on the new one. So what I do want to do is I want to do this really fast. I want to go into my hold button script, and as you see, set variable, close popover, new record request. Well, I don't want to do that if. So I'm going to do a quick if, and I'm going to grab this, click on this first one, bring it down. So my if statement is the very first thing. If not, I did that too many times. Let's just go all the way back to the beginning. If not, type in is empty. And the field will be the invoice lock. If not is empty. So if there's something in the invoice number, if there's something in there, we will halt the script, or you can do a custom dialog if you want to, and I'm big at custom dialog. Show custom dialog. We'll just type in request denied. You cannot hold an invoice number from a currently held invoice. You must close this invoice before proceeding. There we go. And we'll get rid of the cancel because you guys know that cancel is absolutely worthless. And we'll say okay, and we will go into our favorites, halt script, as we put it there. So now it will not let me do anything. It will give me a box that will say, hey, you can't do this if you're on a held script, because what we did was when we went into a hold script pattern, when we do push that button, what it does is it sets the variable, the invoice number, sets the variable, the current invoice number. Grab it. Sets a variable, my name. Grab it. It's going to close that popover, start a new record, and it's going to go to that particular. It's going to hold that information. So it's going to take all that information and it's going to hold on to it. And we will, if it is empty, it's going to put that information in our what am I looking for? It's going to put that information in that section. So the hold 1, hold 2 section, and it's going to put the current date and time in there so that we know when it was held. So you can say, well, if I've got 2 of them, I held one of them 5 minutes ago and one of them an hour ago, you'd be like, well, this one is an hour old, so I can go in and either close it, dismiss it. I mean, you can dismiss it if you've held it and you've got it in there somewhere, and you're just like, you know what? They're never coming back, or I never did get around to it, or whatever the case is. You can just dismiss it, and then we'll still log it, as a dismissed one, and you'll still be able to see it, but no big deal. We will be able to take care of all of that stuff. But the biggest thing is we need to make sure that when we hold an invoice, that our last invoice has that number printed on it. And that's how it works. So because it says here, it's showing us the new record request. So it's going to create a new record. It's going to put that old record in these register hold buttons for us. So the old record's going to go in there. It's going to, and if it can't do them, then it's going to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, right? So we've got that down. And now if you double click on, if you double click on hold 1, now I didn't double click on it before. So if you go to any button USA, let's say you go to this button and you right click on it, you can go into what's called button setup. And that's how you do this, okay? So button setup. So double click on it. Now that we've put a script to it, it has held invoice 1. And what it says, if it is empty, register hold 1, close popover. So if you're pushing the button and there's nothing in there, it's just going to close the popover. And obviously halt script, because there's no reason to continue going on with the script. But if there is something in there, it's going to set that variable, and the variable is going to be the invoice, the current invoice number, or no, invoice will be the value register hold, so hold 1. So it's going to actually set that one. It'll set the field, hold 1, it'll clear it, and it'll clear the time as well. Then it's going to set a back. So this is where it's going to set the variable $back. And gosh, I really hope I haven't lost you guys, because it's so confusing. It can be so confusing. But I'm leaving it up here so you guys can read it. You guys can pause the video should you want to, and you can read it and you will see what it says. But set the variable $back, and that variable is our register invoice number. The current one, the one that we have right now that we're on. It's going to freeze the window, enter find mode. It's going to set that old invoice number into the find mode, look for it, find it. Then it's going to set our invoice lock. Going to put a number in there. It's going to say this was the invoice you just came from. And then it's going to go to field scanner data and halt the script. So what it does for me is it takes that data from a held script and takes me to that script. Say okay. So now you can see all of the scripts that are actually involved in that. So if we exit the layout, we're already on our new one. There's 5 records. We'll show them all. So on this one, we shouldn't have had, it should be clearing all this stuff out. But on some of the earlier ones, it didn't clear them out. But it doesn't matter if it clears this out or not from an old record that was once held. So as a matter of fact, it's probably better, because if you're searching records and you're going through the stuff that is on your admin page, where is it? Register monitor, I'm sorry. So register monitor, right now this button doesn't work. I mean, it does work. Let me see if it, because it's going to tell me there's something wrong. Yeah, it could not do it, because right now there is no register 1X. I didn't create the copy of it because I was still working on the register 1 to get it perfect. Once I get it perfect, I will be able to bring up that window and we'll be able to easily view that record. So the problem is I preset it up. So this has been pre-done. If you guys want, I will show you the script for that. See invoices 1. So what it's basically saying is we're just going to go through this, and then I've got to end. So I do have Christmas to go to, but so it's going to set the variable, the location. But you guys remember, there's these buttons over here, right? One of them is location, and it's going to set that location and value monitor location, which is right here. You guys can see it, but you can't see it. Set a variable invoice value monitor invoice number, which happens to be the button itself. Set variable 1 value monitor field ID. Monitor field ID. That's the 1 that you see over here. Remember when we were talking about setting a field to 1? Okay, well, we did it for a reason. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, in a brand new window, we're going to create a new window, style document, name, register 1 invoice, height 900 by 900. We're going to go to the layout, location. So what I did was I typed in there, register 1X, right? Remember that? Register 1X. So it's going to want to go to register 1X. Well, register 1X doesn't exist currently, okay? But it will go there as soon as I create it. So that's cool. You can actually set up a script for something that doesn't even exist yet. That's pretty amazing. Enter find mode. Now, if 1 is equal to 1, if 1, which is $ONE, if 1 is equal to 1, it's going to set field invoice register invoice 1 perform the find. Running over my scarf. So what this is going to do is the monitor is going to keep track of all of the registers. So, and there's 3 of them, right? We saw those. So we're going to go ahead and say okay, and let's go to our entry page. So as you see, there's 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3. So those numbers that we set up, the where it's going to, the thing is we have to set a specific field. So you can tell it to go to a location, but you can't tell it to find anything. So that's why we have register 1X. I'm sorry if I keep repeating it, but that's the reason why we have register 1X, and then we have that number 1. Because the number 1 is a value that we can search for, we can create. So if this value is 1, search this box. If the value is 2, search this box. If the value is 3, search this box. So that gives us a way of taking our data and finding exactly what we want, exactly where it is. So register 1, register 2, register 3. I'm almost out of coffee, guys. When you're on your monitor, you'll be able to literally go to any of these that you want to. Now, we could have done the same thing with this right here. We could have said, take this value, right or left. If you type in right or left, you can take the first 2 numbers or the first number or whatever you want to. So you could actually take it and you don't need this box. But I didn't really care because it was just burning space anyway, and a 1 was the easiest thing for me to do. It's something I can manipulate if and when I want to. So that's the reason why. So the next time you guys tune in, thanks guys. Thanks everybody for watching me. You guys are amazing. Tech, Vinas, Murdad, thank you so much, you guys. Merry Christmas to you. If you don't do Christmas, well, happy holidays. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. I said I was going to show up on yesterday. I didn't get the opportunity to show up yesterday, so I did show up today. And we went through a lot of stuff. We went through tons of stuff. Don't forget to get your system set up to that look just like mine. Don't forget, we need to do that register 1 just like this. It's got to be the same, folks. We got to make it the same, so that we have identical things. Now, one thing that I did do that we haven't discussed really quick was I did set this up as a popover, and what it says is return or deal And what it basically does is they both have their own scripts. One of them will return the product in inventory. So if Merdad came in and he said, hey, I didn't want this product, you can, like it, before you push the cash button, he says, can you take this product? I don't really want this product, or, oh, that was a mistake. You can erase it. You can take it off of your invoice. That's what it's about, is it can take it off the invoice and it'll put the product back into inventory. Pretty simple, pretty basic, pretty easy. The other one is called a deal, and what the deal is it's a free thing. So if you have a buy two, get one free, or buy one, get one, or you have a deal where if someone buys 10 cups of coffee, they get the 11th coffee for free. That's what this is for. This is a deal so that you can honor that deal for people. So what it does is it will take your information. Right now it doesn't do it because I haven't set it up, as you guys saw when we were looking through our manage database, and we were doing our where is it? Records change, right? Records change. I did some fields, but I haven't created anything in records change. And so what that does is it will keep track of everything. It'll keep track of if you have given it away for free, it'll say you gave it away for free. It's not going to change. It's not going to track that someone took an item off of the invoice, because it puts that right back into your inventory. And if you're going through and you're doing your inventory and you're off on your inventory, you can go through and look at all your records if you want to and find out where someone messed up. But for the most part, if they push that button, it erases the price, it erases the quantity, and it puts it back in your inventory. It's pretty simple to do. If you guys need to know how to do it, let me know. I will certainly be more than glad to help you guys put that together. But with that, anyway, I think we will end the stream here because I'm cold and obviously I want to go home and enjoy myself with my family. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so very much for watching me. I sure appreciate you guys watching me. If you do have interest in possibly getting this program when I'm finished with it, I do believe I will be finished with it in the next 30 days. The next 30 days I will have it completely finished. If you are interested in buying the blank, which is what you see right now, I'm gonna put it together, and then I'm going to, once it's all together, I'm gonna copy it and use one for myself. This is my dream system. So if you guys want a copy of it, just let me know. I can, or I will remove. It will come just as you see it. But if you want me to, I can remove some of the things that are on it. It'll be a clean copy. There will be nothing in the inventory. Remember, if we go to templates and our base inventory and we exit, this is what we have in our inventory right now. Pet supplies. We have candies, drinks, pet supplies, video games, Titanfall 2. These are all of the, and here's our barcode identifiers that are in there as well. But if you guys, this is pretty much, I'm not going to add any inventory to this. So all you have to do as a manager is you'll just basically just be able to come over here and get rid of the quantities, the sale price. You'll be able to scan, like this Colombian coffee. I could literally, if I had something to scan, I could literally just scan it. And I could put the scan number in right now. I unfortunately don't have anything. I guess I do have this. So I turn it on. I can put the number, this barcode number for, it says Columbia Coffee, but it'll actually be this video game. This is a different video game. And we'll just scan it. And there, it just put it right in. So you'll literally be able to just grab a file and you'll be able to just put in your barcodes. Just be like, oh, I need to, give me the barcode for dog beds, for the big ones, for the little medium-sized ones, the small ones, whatever. And you'll be able to scan those barcodes immediately, and you'll be able to have them into your system so that they're all in your system. Now, as a manager, as a person, as an administrator, make sure once you get this program that you need to You need to make sure that all of these are not available in browse mode. These are not available in browse mode because you want those changes to be made in your invoice solution, in your inventory modifier. You want people to make those changes here. You will be able to scan so that you can search for an item. You will be able to add items here because all you got to do is this hamster bed, click on this. I can literally take another game, probably not that one, another code, and scan it right into the system. You'll be able to make all of your changes from here. The reason why you want to do it this way is because you don't want people to make massive amounts of change, and they can with that last list we were on. But anyway, hey guys, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to get me one more cup of coffee and get out of here. Happy holidays. Hope I was of help. If I was, let me know. If I wasn't, let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Let me know what's going on. If you are interested in the program, do drop me a note. Let me know. Like I said, it'll be done in about 30 days. And also, if you know anybody that's interested, that wants to learn about these programs, or this will save a small business owner tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars over its lifetime, maybe even $1 million over its lifetime, easy. So let me know, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Until then, as I always say, be good to each other, don't do anything wrong, and keep a smile on your face. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell everybody that you know subscribe. I need that number needs to go up a little bit. It's kind of down. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.